Okay, welcome to a new snare drum shootout video. This is pretty exciting because I've managed to amass the best bell brasses on the market. I finally picked up the Tama 50th anniversary, and I have to say it is a monster. It's absolutely awesome. That being said, I also have a 5mm Savage Custom replica, so it's got all original Tama hardware, Tama specs, and I have a Savage Custom 3mm, which has Rogers lugs, new Tama Mastercraft hoops, and the newer Tama throw-off. But 3mm shell on that one, 5mm on this. The OG is obviously 3mm. These two are sandcast. This Tama one is centrifugally cast. There's the word. Yeah, so I just wanted to do a little shootout while I've got all three in my possession. I guess before we get started, I can just tell you my thoughts and some of the tests that I've done. So it originally came, the Tama, I bought it locally in Long Beach, used, so I got a pretty good price. It came with its factory Tama ambassador head, which sounded fantastic. I kind of find that the Emperor is the best sounding on these drums. I know a lot of people like to use these white control sound ones. I think it's a good head. I think it's just a little too dampened for me. It chokes off too much of the kind of overall resonance and high-end articulation. So both of these have Emperors. My 3mm Savage has an ambassador. They really don't sound that different. I've also done a couple things. One is that I have swapped out the brand new hoops on my Tama for vintage Tama Mastercraft hoops. And the thought behind that is, I don't know if some of you drummers there are also guitar players, but I know in the guitar player world, with regards to like 50s and early 60s Gibsons, that the old hardware for some reason just sounds better. Like the ABR1 bridge on an old Gibson, even if you get a new one that looks identical, they just don't sound the same. So I figured that same logic goes into effect here. I also chatted with my friend Chris Hewer, who had refinished a couple of the drums on this AOC kit, and he told me the same, that the vintage hoops are special. They just used better metal probably than they do today. So what did I notice on that change? Not a lot, but I do think that it kind of opened it up a bit. It was a very controlled, almost muted kind of sound. I mean, beefy and great, but just a little bit dampened. I find with these hoops, I just get a little more sound. So, you know, I don't think it's a critical detail, but it does seem to make a small difference in getting closer to that original 1980 bell brass sound. So anyway, I'm going to start with the Tama. I'm going to move to the 5mm. I think the 5mm sounds extremely close to this. I would describe it as it has a little less low end, little bit, and maybe a little more top end. It's a little more open. It's got a little bit of a sweeter, brighter top end. And then the 3mm is kind of something in between both of these. It's more controlled like the Tama. It doesn't have as much overtones, but doesn't quite hit as low as the Tama. All in all, great. All three are great snare drums, and it's been very difficult to choose which one I would keep. But I'll save those comments for the end. So here we go. Tama 50th anniversary. 2, and I think I've got it tuned pretty close. Oops. Almost identical. Now, moving on. Here is, I've actually got this listed for sale now. So, 3mm shell, it's got the replica badge, Tama hardware, Rogers lugs, all new hardware. Also tuned pretty similar. That the bottom head is not quite as tight on this, so I'm going to just crank that up a little bit and give it a second test. Try to do that quickly. I do find with these bell brasses, the bottom head should be pretty stinking tight. It doesn't have to be like tabletop with the hoop or anything, but tight, pretty damn tight. As you can see, all three are incredible powerhouse snare drums. They're definitely very similar DNA, similar overall tone profiles. One thing to keep in mind is I think you can order the 3mm for about 2,000 new. I think the 5mm is a little bit more because it's more metal. Might be like 22, 23. The Tama, as you know, is 4,000 plus tax, unless you can get lucky like me and get a used one. So, I mean, we're talking about half the price for a Savage. I really don't think it's half the drum. Remarkable. I mean, here's a good look at it. Vintage hoops, original Tama badge, roller throw off, the extra long wires. I think this is pretty hard to beat for the price. It's almost not worth it to get the Tama. But yeah, I mean, you can hear the differences, I think. And This one is just, it's got the sound that I've just been after. And I would say, not only in my own experience, I've never experienced a real 1980 in person, but from the videos I've seen, the 1980 just has this low-end, subwoofery hoof that hits you in the chest. And the new Tama does that the most. It also sounds absolutely fantastic with the muffler on. That's a real tone. Think that the muffler kind of makes it sound like you've got a control sound on it, which is very cool because you can go from a more open sound to a more controlled sound. And you can always add more muffling if you want, but to have that just at the flick of a switch, especially for live applications, like if you're playing a smaller room and the bell brass is just absolutely too loud for it. It's hard to beat. I think they really crushed it with this snare. It's got literally every detail that the originals had. The only difference is centrifugally cast shell versus a sand cast shell. I think the original hardware that comes with it is fantastic, but you know, for me, I just wanted to get a little bit of that original 1980 DNA in there, so I think these hoops do something. But yeah, there you have it. It's been very difficult to choose which one of these to let go. I still absolutely adore this 5mm. I think it's incredible. And it is a little unique to the Tama that almost makes me want to keep it. But I just think the Tama is that sound that I've been after. So I think this is going to be the one I keep. I've currently got the 3mm, which is a 14x7, for sale right now on Reverb. I'll probably be listing this 5mm pretty soon. This was also used on my band's last record, Thorsland. It's in the music video for Hours to Go, and used on the record for that. I mean, I can't say enough good things about this, and my friend Cade, who built it for me, he's a good guy to work with. So I think, yeah, if you've been wanting to get into the bell brass game and you just don't want to pull the trigger on a $4,000 reissue, I think the Savages are the absolute best you can get. They look identical. They've got all the specs of the originals. Having the vintage hardware is certainly very cool. It's a work of art, a work of beauty. But there you have it. We'd love to hear in the comments what you think about the 3 snare drums and which one's your favorite. All right, see you next time.